everyone, welcome back to Namma Laex Bangalore. This is another episode of Know Your Board. So this is mainly catered to the UPSC aspirants who are attending UPSC interview or personality test in 2025. That doesn't mean that other people should not watch it. You can, if you are confident or if you are hoping to become an administrator or clear UPSC or become an IAS officer, this video is for you. You can just have the analysis of the boards, the trends, patterns and the probability of questions. So I divided the questions based on the personality, DAF, situation, IR, current affairs, etc. And based on the nearly 400 plus transcripts of different boards, we have made this document where we have used the artificial intelligence to run simulations to predict the probability of questions that a particular board is going to ask. Till now, we have already done with 3 boards: Dinesh Dasa sir board, Shukla sir board, Shri Singh sir board. Today we will be doing with Sanjay Verma sir board. Okay, so without any delay, we will start the discussion. So as usual, first we will discuss the background of the panel member. So Shri Sanjay Verma is a member of Union Public Service on 1st February 2024. Okay, so very recent introduction to the interview panel, and he will be leading interview panel this year as well. So career overview is Shri Sanjay Verma is an officer of the Indian Forest Service. So what is the reason behind knowing the background is that this is like DAF of your panel. So this is like the DAF of your panel. So he is from Indian Foreign Service. So his questions will be IR dominated. Of the 1990 batch, was first sworn as a member of UPSC Commission on 1st February 2024. He has over 3 decades of wide-ranging diplomatic experience across Asia, Africa, Europe, and in key multilateral forums such as UN, NAM, G77, and the Commonwealth. Okay, very important to know these things. So if at all any questions is asked on these topics, do not try to bluff. Again, I keep repeating this because you feel like you know everything about a particular topic, but trust me, you do not know everything and they know more than you. Okay, next, his work spans bilateral diplomacy, multilateral negotiations, economic and commercial diplomacy, media and public outreach, public engagement, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, including the leadership roles in Operation Rahat in Yemen, Operation Ganga in Ukraine, and Operation Dost in Turkey. These are the operations we read for UPSC prelims and mains, and he is the person who has led those operations. So understand the difference between us and him. So don't try to bluff. Don't try to bluff your way out. He has led them, he has lived them those experiences. So he has had several senior positions in the Ministry of External Affairs, including Secretary of the Western Command, Chief of Protocol, Joint Secretary of Energy Security, OST Press Relations, Director, Deputy Secretary of China Desk. His ambassadorial assignments include Ambassador to Spain and Andorra and a permanent representative to the UNWTO. Ambassador to Ethiopia, Djibouti and representative to the African Union. Again, any questions on African Union, be very careful what you are going to answer. And Consul General in Dubai. Again, significance on the Middle East. Okay, so he has experience in various things, especially in the international relations. So be ready with international relations questions to answer any kind of questions on international relations. He has earlier served in Indian missions in Beijing, Kathmandu, Manila and Hong Kong. Academically, he studied at Wilson College and Jai Hind College and completed MA in International Studies from the JNU, earning Dorabji Tata Scholarship and UGC Fellowship, not necessary. And his personal interests include reading, podcast, music, films, popular culture and collecting first edition books, Bollywood memorabilia and affordable art. So if at all your hobby is any of these such as films, podcasts, etc., be ready to face some questions. Okay, very important. Podcast, reading, music, etc. are his hobbies, and if they are your hobbies in your DAF as well, then consider it as your luck, depending on how you are going to answer. Okay, this can turn into a luck or bad luck if you are not properly answering it. So that is the background of Sanjay Verma sir. So majorly the height focus will be on international relations, hobbies and Middle Eastern, etc. Okay, so now, so what kind of questions does Sanjay Verma sir's board actually ask? This is based on the 240 transcripts which are available from Sanjay sir's board. Okay, so first is board personality. That is the big pattern. First, you understand the board's personality. So the board is very conversational, calm, and reflective board. Very important, reflective board. There is heavy emphasis on DAF based, similar to Dinesh Dasar sir board, and personality based and hobby based questions. Very wide spectrum. The questions will range from sociology, IR, technology, ethics, yoga, films, AI, agriculture, economy, everything. Okay, because he has interest in so many things and he has achieved so many things in international relations, and his degree is again economic major. Next, chairman often asks abstract, philosophical, reflective, creative reasoning questions. Very important. These reflective questions were not part of Shukla sir or Shri Singh sir board, but it is very important in this particular case. Okay, very abstract, very philosophical in nature. Whereas Shri sir and Shukla sir boards, they are coming from police and military background, they expect a straightforward answer from you, but here they want a balanced philosophical answer with the reasoning behind it. Okay, next, frequent cross questions. You have to expect frequent cross questions here. Checks through thought process and not the facts. Okay, they want to test your thought process. There is no grilling, but intense probing on opinions is there. In the international relations and global issues appear regularly. Soft power, culture, books, films, music, journaling appear repeatedly. And he likes linking your DAF to global context, especially if IR or PSI are present. Okay, so most of the transcripts which he saw, many of the students who had IR or PSI in their optional, they faced lots of questions on IR. So if your option is PSI, anyways, you'll be already ready with respect to IR. But again, be ready to answer the kind of questions with us in front of these boards. Situational and ethical dilemmas were very common. Okay, this was again a common trend seen across Shukla sir board, Shri sir board, and Sanjay Verma sir board. Okay, next. Question types ranked by the probability. DAF based questions are very high and the probability is around 45%. And every transcript shows hobbies, the 240 transcripts which we ran through the artificial intelligence, it showed questions on hobbies, questions on homestead, questions on graduation subject, job profile. Again, I keep repeating this because despite the differences of questions asked in various boards, one of the most common type of question asked was with respect to job profile. So if you are a person who is working or who has a past experience in corporate or government or any kind of sector, be ready to face questions in these things. Be very genuine and be very thorough with your questions or your answers. Cultural interest, sports, again sports, very peculiar to Shri sir board as well as Sanjay Verma sir board. Languages, NGO or social work, in case you have done any work in your any NGOs or social works in your DAF. One unusual DAF keyword like gets deep probing, for example, astrophotography, journaling, Sanskrit, Gita, night photography, foosball, horticulture, French, dance, etc. etc. If your DAF has a word which is unique, which is not common to most of the other DAFs, then obviously the questions are going to be asked for you. Okay, so examples, the kind of questions which are asked in the previous transcript was, tell me 10 things that come to your mind right now. Okay, tell me 10 things that come to your mind right now. Why do you journal? Are you honest in your journaling? Okay, so someone has a hobby as journaling, so these kind of questions. Why did you want to watch XYZ series? As I told you, he has an interest in podcasts, movies, etc. etc. And best and worst web series you have watched. Again, the hobby of Sanjay Verma sir itself is watching series and podcasts and movies. So if you are written watching web series, etc., etc., then you should be ready to answer. What is Bhavana Yoga and night photography or astrophotography? Again, from the DAF itself. Difference between cooking in Mumbai and cooking in Hyderabad. Maybe the person has lived in Mumbai and he is from Hyderabad, or he is from Mumbai and he is practicing or living in Hyderabad. So if you are from a person from Bangalore but living in Delhi, and if your hobby is cooking, then be ready to face this kind of questions. Why did you shift career? Why this gap? This is very important question. The way you answer these kind of questions makes or breaks your interview, or makes or breaks your rank. Okay, next, DAF extension, they often attach counter questions, and again scenario based queries, comparisons, interlinking your hobbies, different hobbies, and then with the governance, interlinking your hobbies with the governance or policy. Most common question is, how is your hobby going to help in your administration? Don't you think this hobby is of no use in administration? Don't you think it is a waste of your time to practice this particular hobby? These kind of questions are very often asked. Okay, very regularly asked questions, especially in Sanjay Verma's board. Next, abstract, creative, philosophical questions. Very high probability of around 40%. These kind of questions were asked in Shri sir board as well. So this is the most unique to Sanjay Verma sir. So the recurring themes are free will versus determinism, ends versus means, trolley problem variants. Again, GS4 questions are being asked in the interview. This is a common theme across all the boards. So this trolley problem variants. What is this trolley problem? This trolley problem is there is a train and there is a trolley. Okay, the trolley is going on and there is a two routes. In one route there is one individual who is tied to the track. In other route there is 4 or 5 individuals who are tied to the track. So, and you are the person who is going to pull the lever. So what are you going to do? Whether you are going to let the train go to the same route and kill the 5 people, or you are going to change the track route and it kills only 1 person and saves 5 person. Okay, this is one variant, and you have to take a stand. If you take a particular stand, you have to be ready with your answers. And there will be other type of questions in the trolley variants as well. That is the same situation, but you do not know whether you are the person pulling the lever, whether you are the person laying in one, or you are the person who is part of these 5 people. You have to just pull the lever. So if you are a person who is pulling lever, you are safe. If you are a person who is here, like it depends on your options. So these are some of the trolley variants. You understand? They are trying to check the ethics. That is, without knowing who you are going to choose some other option. With knowing who you are going to choose some other options. So there is a thought process which will be involved here. They will test your thought process. So is corruption ever good? Okay, is corruption ever good? Very important. This was in news previously because there was a lady who is an IAS officer who talked that corruption is good for government to run in a smooth way. So they will ask, is corruption good in a way? Any question with respect to corruption, never ever say it is good or it is partial good or anything. Corruption is bad. Corruption is outrightly bad. Okay, corruption is outrightly bad. Then, what is the meaningful life? Again, abstract questions. What makes TED Talks so attractive? What makes TED Talks so attractive? Why do they attract so many millions of views? Okay, you have to be ready. Someone has written, maybe listening to TED Talks in his hobby. That is why this question has arisen. What is intelligence and what is artificial intelligence? Very important, especially in this year's interview. What makes a hobby interesting? If you were India, if you were India, do reflective journaling. Do the reflective journaling of last 2 days. Okay, as an India, as a person, you are the person as an India, you have to do the journaling for the last 2 days. What happened in the last 2 days? What are the important? So what are they trying to see here? They are, in a way, they are trying to see what happened in the last 2 days. What do you consider to be the most important events that happened in the last 2 days? Next, if you were an emperor of India, what is the one thing you want to remove? Is metros decreasing popularity of railways? Does gender fluidity challenge traditional norms? Very controversial questions which is trying to test your opinions and trying to test your reasoning. Okay, so this board tests your maturity, openness and ethical reasoning. In one of the transcript, this is not covered here, in one of the transcript the question was that if you were part of Trump's cabinet, okay, Trump's cabinet, which cabinet do you want to be part of? Okay, which cabinet do you want to be part of? If you are part of like there was a department of, okay, department in the Trump's cabinet which was headed by Elon Musk. The very idea of that particular department was to remove all those departments or all those ministries who are getting funds, but it was not productive. So your idea was to remove those, your aim was, or your duty was to remove those funds which are going unnecessarily. Okay, so the question was, if you are part of this particular department or if you are Elon Musk, which 2 departments of India would you like to remove? Which 2 departments of India we would like to remove funding from? So these kind of questions, be ready to face these kind of questions. Okay, next, international relations and diplomacy, very high probability is there because since he has his IFS background, you have to be ready for these kind of questions. Given his IFS background, this is heavily visible. Recurring IR topics are Israel Palestine, Russia Ukraine. Again, this will be Again a theme, USA China. Again a theme, African geopolitics, since he had served in Africa. Very important. United Nations, ICC, ICJ, very important, especially in the context of Sheikh Hasina. Indo-Pacific, SAARC relevance, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Myanmar, policy, China, South China Sea, China-India competitions or comparisons, HADR missions, etc. etc. So the examples in higher questions are: how can ICC prosecute Netanyahu? Can UNSC act against Russia? What does it stop? What stops it? Is SAARC relevance even today? How should India deal with Afghanistan? Re-rate Indian foreign policy with respect to South Asia. So again, very highly dependent on India and neighborhood and geopolitical events or the global geopolitical events such as India, USA, Ukraine, etc. etc. So anyways, you have already read these things for your mains in GS2. So now you have to do is, you have to take a particular stand. You are not going to say these are the pros, these are the cons, so this is the way forward. You have to be very practical in these particular questions. Since it is an interview, you are going to present it in front of experienced administrators. You have to be very careful what words you are going to use as well. Then some questions will be on ethics, laws, governance as well. High probability of 30%. Recurrent themes are end sources means. Again, I have told you about trolley problem, corruption and efficiency, cancel culture. So this was the cancel culture was very rampant in the 2024, especially in media, especially in movies and other stuff. So these kind of questions becomes very important in this year's interview as well. Conflict of interest with a particular scenario. Again, GS4 knowledge test is in front of a board. Ethical decision making in policing, judiciary, etc. etc. Here you will be asked to become a district magistrate of a particular district, and you have to identify particular things, etc. etc. And an example is, your friend funded you, now he wants a favor in tender. What will you do? Again, situation based questions. Trying to test your conflict of interest, trying to test the ethical dilemmas. Next, sociology, society or social changes, medium to high. These are some of the questions which are repeatedly asked in Sanjay Verma sir boards. Very frequent because he likes reflective questions. The themes in this one was gender fluidity. So there was a question previously like, do you think gender fluidity is undermining the paternalistic feature of India? Urbanization, internal migration, work-life balance, 70 to 90 hour work week. This was asked mainly because of the individual was working in Infosys, and as we know, Infosys chairman Narayana Murthy gave an interview where he said India should work for 70 to 90 hours to become a developed state. So that is why this question was asked. And social media polarization, inequality, changing Indian society. How do you change the Indian society, and what are the changes that happened in Indian society over the past few years? And Naxalism, youth, mental health, etc. etc. Very important. So GS1 and GS2 topics are being directly asked. Next, culture, soft power, films, music, etc. This will be connected from your DAF to the global context. So it matches his personal interest, that is personal books, arts, etc. I have told you, right? So the personal interest is going to have an implication on the questions being asked to you. So the recurring themes were about OTT, new wave cinema, films and sociology, society, Bollywood, soft power, cooking and regional cuisines, photography, poetry, Hindu, Urdu, Sanskrit, etc. etc. So if your optional is any of the literature, and if your hobby is with respect to movies, or if your option is PSIR, then be ready with these kind of questions. Next, so very strong pattern. He often asks about types of biryanis. If you're from Hyderabad, or if you're from Lucknow, or if you're from Dindugal, or if you're from Ambur, etc., etc., which are famous for biryanis. Very important. And night photography and music, Indian soft power. Whether Indian soft power is working properly or not, or do you think Indian soft power is a failure? Because most of the countries are having India out campaign. India helped Maldives and there was India out campaign. India helped Bangladesh, now there is India out campaign. India helped Afghanistan, but India is not even considered as a major stakeholder in Afghanistan peace process. India helped in Africa, but the major player in Africa is China. So they will try to put words into your mouth. They will say that India has done so and so, but the outcome is that India has not received any benefit out of it. So do you think it is a failure? Don't you think? So they will ask like this. So you have to take a stand. So you can either agree it is a failure, you can say it is not a failure, complete failure. There have been instances where it has been, again, you can give a balanced approach there. It depends on what stand you are going to take. Next, technology, AI, energy, engineering, maiden probability of 20%. So the given candidates backgrounds plus members expertise. So this will be combined here. The topics will be about AI versus human intelligence, nuclear energy, energy mix, 500 gigawatt renewables, deep sea mining, semiconductor policy, digital divide, Wi-Fi on plane, Python versus Excel. Okay, so these are all based on your DAF or your work experience. Okay, he is connecting your DAF and your work experience with his own interest and also the current affairs. Okay, next is about geography, economy and agriculture. So medium chances are there. The examples will be about what is green economy, what is green GDP, what is SST rise, what is Naxalism, and what is like ports of Odisha. If you are from Odisha or if you are from Karnataka, it depends. The ports of Odisha, ports of Karnataka, or any country, any state you belong to. Then Project Tiger, air pollution, what is graded response action plan, cheetah relocation, inflation, GDP, fiscal deficit, etc. So agriculture and biodiversity or environment and ecology becomes important here, especially if they are in news. Again, this cheetah relocation will be very important this year as well. Next is, so the dominant board signatures which is unique to Sanjay Verma sir is that questions will be highly philosophical and ethical in nature. Focus will be on ethical dilemmas and how we are going to address these ethical dilemmas. Questions will be on free will versus determinism. That is, whether you are born with the free will or whether it is all because of determinism. What is determinism here? Determinism is nothing but, what you say? So Hanebara, you call it Hanebara in Kannada. So I'm not able to get a word for English. So that is what determinism is. So means versus ends, killing 1 versus 4, that is a trolley problem which I explained before, and what are the moral boundaries, and is corruption good, etc., etc. These test your maturity and test your emotional intelligence as well. The deep depth drilling will be very high. Sometimes the depth drilling will be there. They pick even the smallest word in go deep. For example, it is about journaling and they'll go to detail, and yoga, Gita, night photography, astrophotography, cooking, ghazals, French learning, dance and choreography, foosball physics, etc., etc. Okay, next. So the dominant board signatures which is into Sanjay Verma sir is about high IR intensity, ICC, UN reforms, Afghanistan, Israel, Hamas, Russia, Ukraine, China influence. Okay, so very important. The IR becomes important for you. Then cross question styles. Each panelist member probes very deeply. If your answer is something, then they are going to ask why. Are you sure? So just to make sure that whatever the answer you are giving to the panel, you are sticking by it. Next, can you justify? Give me examples. So they want to know the reasoning behind your opinions. Next, zero grilling but very high depth. But obviously, considering the trends here and considering or reading the past scripts, there will be kind of grilling on your DAF. Okay, a conversation like but extremely probing. That is nothing but grilling again. Next, so the proof probability chart. This will be available. The document will be available in the group. If you want to add it to the group, write in the comment box and we will add to the group. And the link to the group will also be provided to you. So categories DAF based, 45% probability and 40% abstract philosophical, 35% international relations, ethics and situational awareness, 30% society and sociology, 25% culture, 25% tech engineering, 20% economy and geography, 20 current affairs 15, and home state or local issues 50%. So the most common questions with examples is reflective questions. That is, do you believe in beginner's luck? Define meaningful life. Are you honest in your journals? Okay, these are some of the questions which your friend asked when you are drunk. So I'm not saying the panel is going to be drunk, but the questions you answer when your friend is drunk will be very funny, but here you have to think carefully and you have to answer it properly. Okay, next, creative thought experiments. If you are in India, write a reflective journal for the last 3 days. Create a team of 11 sociologists with 3 humans. Maybe his hobby was about football or foosball or cricket, so they wanted to create a team of 11 sociologists. Okay, so this is more like the classical UPSC style. So you used to read about classical UPSC style interviews, that you are so and so, so and so, what you will do. Okay, if you're going to make a cabinet out of your mythological figures in India, which cabinet position is going to be given to which mythological figure? This was a question asked to my friend previously. Soft power and culture. What makes TED Talks attractive? Difference between watching on OTT on phone versus TV versus hall. Okay, again, very not generic questions, but very interesting questions. Most common types of examples, again, IR and global politics. Can ICC punish Netanyahu? What should be India's policy towards Myanmar? And questions about situational ethics, like tender favor asking from a friend, food flood in your district, crisis as an ambassador in Ukraine. Again, situations, you will be put into a particular situation and you have to take a stand. Next, home state specific, that is Naxalism in Chhattisgarh, hill station orientation or overcrowding, Odia cuisine versus Kerala cuisine. If you're from Karnataka, chances are that they might ask about language issue. And if you're from Maharashtra, again, they can ask about language issue. With respect to technology and AI, what is DeepSeek versus NVIDIA? Who has the better processors? Who has the better semiconductors? And can AI be used in decision making, etc., etc. So these are the different types of questions which is asked from Sanjay Verma board. So this is the DAF of Sanjay Verma sir board. So summary is what this board truly tests. So it tests not the facts, not the knowledge. It doesn't test not the factual knowledge, not rapid fire GK, not mugged up answer. Instead, they test your maturity, test your reflective creativity or reflection, openness to ideas, analytical reasoning, ethical judgment, personality depth, and ability to handle abstract questions, and calmness under the probing follow-ups. This is very important. So you can give an answer to any particular question, and the follow-up questions will be going to be very difficult depending on your answer. So whenever you give an answer, think it through, articulate it properly. Okay, so this is Sanjay Verma sir board. So this is the end of today, and again just a promotion from our La Excellence, that is interrogative program, which will be added by Rambabu sir, Ramohan sir, and myself, Vinayak sir. Okay, so you can register here, and this IGP program consists of daily discussions. Okay, daily discussions and YouTube videos and personalized courses. And also we will have trek for interview students, where we will discuss general topics, where we can have fun, where we can laugh, where we can enjoy, the view, and also prepare for interview. And there will be hackathon program as well, which will be conducted in Hyderabad. It will be for 3 days, where you will be given an opportunity to meet ex administrators, rated administrators, and also present administrators, and also industrialists, also like technology giants, etc., etc., sports personalities. And you will also meet around 150 to 200 people who are going to attend the interview this year. So very beautiful and very good program, hackathon. You can register here and you can be part of that hackathon as well. So this is about Namma Laex or La Excellence IAS Academy's interview guidance program. So this ends our discussion for the day. If you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, again, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss a notification. And if you have any doubts, if you want to meet me, if you want to meet Rambabu sir, if you want a one-on-one session, you can write in the comment box, or you can contact the number which is provided in the video or which is provided in the link, so that we can have one-on-one sessions. We'll be conducting mock interviews as well. You can be part of that as well. And we can also be part of daily discussions which are happening in Bangalore La Excellence. So with this, I will be ending the video. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.